Okay, continuing on with our pathology series, we're going to talk about the hepatitis serologic markers. A few folks have asked me to go over this in a little more detail than I have time to, so I'm going to take today and go ahead and do that for you. This tends to be something that trips people up quite a bit, and so I'm going to try to explain it not in its entirety, but in a way that will help you to remember some very specific concepts. Rather than trying to remember a bunch of tables, which I don't think is the best way to do it, especially when you get into a testing situation, I'm going to go over a case from very beginning to the end so that you can understand what happens in the evolution of a hepatitis infection. So let's first go over the parts of the hepatitis B virus. And so if we're looking at it, in the very center, we've indicated that this is where the DNA genome is. It's surrounded by a core, which is then surrounded by an envelope. So at time 0, that's when you're going to be exposed, whether through your long, exciting weekend with your hepatitis B friend or through your inoculation at the hospital. What's going to happen over the next month, I've illustrated here with the small diagram in the right-hand corner. So over the next month, your body's going to start to produce hepatitis B surface antigens on the surface in both cases. The difference is, if you're inoculated, we're giving you those surface antigens, right? Versus if you've been infected, you're going to be making those on your own so that your body will recognize it in the future. So the first place we're actually going to start to see a difference is almost at the second month. If you've been inoculated with the Hep B series, that really is where the story ends. You end up with these surface antigens, and your body is ready to protect you if you ever see it again. And that's kind of where the story stops, with the surface antigens only. But if you've been infected with the active virus, or if you've had a true exposure, the story continues from there. If you've had true exposure at about the second month, your body's going to start producing Hep B envelope antigens. So on the envelope, you're going to start to see an antigen presence as well. This indicates that it's not a Hep B series vaccination, that this is in fact an exposure. In the lower right-hand corner, I've indicated with the titer level over time that the orange line that you see, that is the Hep B surface antigen, and you see that it continues to increase. As well as about the second month, you're going to start to see the Hep B envelope antigen, as I've indicated in a blue-purple color, that it's going to start to increase as well. Once the Hep B envelope antigen starts to increase in levels, you should understand that the virus is attempting to spread disease. This is not part of the normal inoculation. This is an active disease process spreading. So after about the second month following your exposure, you should at this point have hepatitis B surface antigens, hepatitis B envelope antigens, as well as hepatitis B core antigens. Your body should have produced all of those. And about the second month, your body actually will start responding to those antigens by the production of anti-hepatitis B core or hepatitis B core antibodies. And that, like I said, starts after the second month and will continue well into the 8th, 9th, 10th month after the exposure. At the same time, there's a weaning of the hepatitis B surface antigen and the hepatitis B envelope antigen. Those levels continue to drop off until they're no longer detectable around the 5th month. The hepatitis B core antibody that's initially produced will be IgM early in the process, but as time passes, that will actually become IgG. As the disease progresses, at about the 5th month, the body will start producing anti-Hep B envelope, or antibodies to the Hep B envelope. At the 6th month, it's pretty common for the body to start producing anti-Hep B surface, or Hep B surface antibodies. And that is a condensed version of the story with all the important details that should put you in a place where you're able to answer any questions on these hepatitis serologic markers. Just remember that the immunization that we typically talk about with Hep B will only ever give us surface antibodies. So any question that includes more than surface antibodies is more than a simple immunization. In the process of disease formation, remember that we'll first start out with Hep B surface antigens, and then we'll develop antigens on the Hep B envelope. Your body will respond to that by producing antibodies to the Hep B core, followed by antibodies to the Hep B envelope, and lastly, antibodies to the Hep B surface antigens. Remember that when we're talking about IgG and IgM always starts first, so it's the earliest, and you'll see that with acute hepatitis, and you also see that during the window period. But in late hepatitis, you're going to see the IgG and not the IgM. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please post a comment or send a question directly.